Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the season finale of Season 5, Uncaged. We have made it. My name is Mike Larkin, and joining me tonight is my boy, DC Daniel Crimmins. Daniel, we are at the finale. Woo!
Hi, Mike!
Hi, Dan! So, with that being said, if those reactions and if that general catchphrase is not familiar to anybody, we are going to be talking about the impact of the legendary Four Horsemen. And, well, there have been many incarnations. There are many factions that have influence from this group.
Some good.
Some good. Some bad.
A lot of bad.
A lot of bad. But when you think of the Four Horsemen...
At you, Pretty Paul Roma.
Oh, we're going to get to Pretty Paul Roma. So for me, when you think of the Four Horsemen, just the image and the aesthetic and the presentation, it's just these cool guys with glowing in the limos, the planes, everything from the statue, the suits, the watches, everything. Your thoughts? Just talk about your even impression of the Four Horsemen.
I remember when I was a kid, growing up, like in my early days of watching wrestling, we didn't have a whole lot of channels. Like it was like ABC, NBC, and CBS. We didn't have, and the first time I'd ever seen Ric Flair was WrestleMania 92, WrestleMania 8. So that would have been 1992, I think.
92, him and Randy Macho Man Savage.
And I remember like 94, first time I got cable was, when I'm 9, 10 years old. And got the Four Horsemen, which, if I remember right, it was Flair, Arn, Brian Pillman, and I think it was Chris Benoit. I'm fairly certain. And as I got older and you see the Four Horsemen, I was like, these guys are cool. Like, wrestling is like the blue collar sport. It's for people, the working man. Boxing was kind of like, the upper class sport. Us blue collar folk, we had wrestling, and kind of sad that it's gone where it has now, but that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother time. Maybe we'll discuss that next season. Check out Mike's YouTube, link down below, Cheap Pop. So, but just seeing that, and it was so cool. These guys were awesome. Like, and each person had a role. You had Ric Flair, the showpiece, the centerpiece of the group, the leader. You had Arn Anderson, who was like that, that flashy badass, the guy who didn't really have to talk. But it was that old saying, walk softly and carry a big stick.
Mm-hmm.
And Arn was one of those dudes. That dude could talk. And I've still yet to this day seen to see anybody who can hit a spine buster as good as him.
I mean, it's often imitated, never duplicated.
That snap of it is just...
Yeah, I mean, Triple H did his thing with it, and like I mentioned, it's like the Captain Albano saying, often imitated, never duplicated, but you can't... I'll still give you one right now, man. Like, when Arn Anderson was with Ric Flair at WrestleMania 18, the pop he got when he spine-busted The Undertaker, oh my God, right?
And it's like, you just think you want to be like, oh, one more. Give us one more match.
Yeah. But I think with Arn, it's his back injuries. And I mean, he did do a spine buster in AEW when he was with Cody on the friggin' Tully and all that. And that was cool. But yeah, it's a different Arn Anderson. Yeah, this is when Arn had the Glock.
Exactly. And Arn had even said, could he have done, another match at that point? He said, yeah. Mm-hmm. He said, but it wouldn't have been me. Now, this day and age, if you had Arn now and he were much younger, and with the advances in modern medicine, absolutely. I mean, you got people like Cope. You have people like him, people that you think their career is done, and they come back. So, I who's to say? But I still say Arn is one of the greatest who have never won a world title.
Agreed wholeheartedly. And I think to add on to your point, when you think of one of the best doggone tag teams, of course you think of Arn and Tully, the Brain Busters.
Absolutely.
You think of Arn and Ole. And first, let me just say right now, Ole Anderson, God rest his soul, he was a miserable son of a bitch. But when he got
Very
into
bitter man.
Very bitter man. But when he got into that ring, holy hell, look out.
Oh, yeah. And honestly, initially, when they inducted the 4 Horsemen into the Hall of Fame, in the WWE Hall of Fame, it wasn't supposed to be Barry Windham. They wanted Ole, but Ole hated Vince.
He hated Vince. He hated Linda. He did not want any part of that Hall of Fame induction.
He didn't even want to be really associated with the other Horsemen.
Do you think it was a case of, because we've seen the dark side of the rings in years past, was it a case of the fact that Vince took over his territory and he took over all the territory? This is Vince Jr., and he really resented Vince McMahon for that?
I think it was a mix of everything. I think it was a mix of that. I think it was a mix of also he was more of a purist. Like, he wanted wrestling to where it was. And I would say now wrestling is kind of a hybrid territory system, if you think about it.
Very much. And I mean, Triple H has always been the one about relationships now. When you have WWE and TNA, WWE bought AAA. You have evolved now from what it used to be an indie promotion to like a developmental system for WWE. You have, I mean, they're working with GCW. Natalya worked on an NWA pay-per-view, Bloodsport. Like, there's so many things that WWE is doing that they're bringing a lot of the territories together, and it's really working and benefiting a lot of people.
Yeah, and who's to say, but Ole was one of those guys where, and people have said he was a hard booker. Mm-hmm. Mick had even said, Ole was not a fan of him.
The other part I'll ask you about with guys like Mick Foley, he didn't like The Undertaker, saying The Undertaker would, never be a main eventer. Hello. I do have.
Isn't that funny that Taker's now turned into the Ole type?
Kind of, sort of. And I mean, he did just recently say on his podcast, the one with Michelle McCool, it's the same name, but with Michelle McCool, that he's like, I'm got to that point where I'm like the old school guy, and I see these wrestlers doing TikTok videos now instead of watching the matches, and it gets me hot, which I can understand him for that. I really can. Yeah, he's becoming one of the old school guys. It's like, yeah.
Like, it's what you see. Do you know that they're not?
Yes, that's the thing. It's what you see. I think do you think it's one of those things with the older generation because they didn't have social media? They don't understand the tools now it could help for social media. There's a lot of negatives, but the positives, I'm saying.
There's that, and like, I'll say this just as an aside. Yeah. I respect Undertaker, what he's done for the wrestling industry, but at the same time, it's like, you're criticizing people for doing TikToks and, YouTube channels and all this. Dude, you're doing a podcast. You're doing a reality show in LFG.
Yes, which is what it is.
So, your argument's not valid.
And you're trying to relate to 20-year-olds, but you're on a reality show. You are. It's what it is. It's
and it's looking, though, at the Horsemen, and I will say this. Do I think the Horsemen could work nowadays? No. And the reason I say that, and tell me if you think I'm wrong.
Sure.
If you look back into the 80s, movies like Wall Street, if you think of President Trump in the 80s, that symbol of greed and wealth, is what we as a society were told, hey, this is what you want to be. And very few people even now can't afford, Rolexes and, private planes and this and that. You look at the Horsemen, that's what they had. Which, let me grab something real quick.
Sure. I mean, to go on to Dan's point as he goes to get that, I look at it from a stance like this. Like, even today's day and age now, with what we have evolved, like the Vanity Project, like for that faction, it's these snot-nosed punk kids who hired Bryce Donovan to be like their friend and bodyguard. And they're like kids coming out the country club and being all spoiled. And we get to see like the kind of like nightlife version of like Jersey Shore mixed with how the kids now are with the hundos and everything from the slogans and the logos and everything
Now,
that goes into it. Good.
one of the things, if you think of Ric Flair being the NWA World Heavyweight Champion,
Yeah.
at the time, you look at the 10 pounds of gold, which still to this day is the NWA Championship.
Right.
It's had some tweaks, some alterations, but in the 80s, we got this.
Yeah, buddy.
The big gold, which has been duplicated numerous times. You know, you had currently Seth Rollins has a version of the. I don't care what anybody says. That's the fucking big gold. But case in point, like that belt worked for Ric Flair because it was flashy. You know, it was somebody that like you looked at the Horsemen. And it was guys that wore the nice suits. It's like, hey, you don't have this. You know, you're poor. You know, I could honestly see someone like MJF as a Horseman back in the day.
I mean, with his 80s type of Roddy Piper, Horseman type of vibes to it, I definitely could see that as well. And the only other question I'll ask you, and we'll get into more of the Horseman, but I mentioned we talk about it not working today, and we talk about that generation of MJF who would have worked in the 80s. Do you understand the point of like the Vanity Project now with Evolve, where it's like these kids who are like, they look like they come from the country club, and how it kind of reflects like the Jersey Shore now?
Yeah.
Do you think that type of stuff, like it works now for the culture, but what we saw in the 80s with the Four Horsemen now, do you think that would be a contrast that could work? I mean, I know you mentioned no, but or do you think it's kind of just like the change of the time, so to speak?
It could. And see, here's the thing of it. You know, back then they didn't have social media,
Right.
And Rick, Arn, Tully, Ole, we're all legitimate friends.
Yes.
You know, they would go out and party. You know, they would, go to one town, fly out to Vegas, and then party, do all forms of debauchery, and then hit the next town that night.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays, like, yes, talent are friends, but to that level,
They're not going to the strip club. Most everybody's going back to the hotel playing video games, or they're going back to the tour bus. Yep. Or they're
I
working.
mean, you think of like New Day,
Yes.
when Big E was still wrestling, those three traveled together.
Yes, they did.
You had Evolution, they traveled together. You don't really have that. Like the Bloodline traveled together.
Yes.
Or the MFTs or whatever. They traveled together. It could, but there's that family connection. Horsemen, there wasn't. They were just friends. And it was random how they came together. It's four guys who, they all needed to cut a promo and they were short on time. So they're like, four of you together.
And it worked magic because, and I mean, I'll even go to Tully Blanchard when he has Baby Doll and he has Dark Journey and he has the woman by his side. The Duke could work. One of my favorite finishing moves, I think you can concur with me, the slingshot suplex was a thing of beauty. I thought that was very interesting for the time, just for the slingshot, then boom, right into the suplex. Like he had the it factor. I mean, his daughter is his daughter, but but Tully Blanchard, nah, but Tully Blanchard himself, that dude was so slick on the mic, man.
Oh yeah. And it gets me because I see him, and when he managed FTR, it was perfect.
It was the perfect fit.
And he could work WWE. Like there are people that he could work with that I think would just like an NXT run. Like if you look what Paul Ellering did for AOP, it worked.
It did.
Because it brought that legitimacy. somebody with like Ethan Page, perfect.
Oh, because Ethan is so cocky, and then you bring a Tully in, and that adds an extra element to it. I thought that would be very cool, very interesting.
Yeah. And like I said, going back to the rules, each person had one. Like Tully was that kind of cool yet brash guy, and Ole was the dude that would just hurt you.
I mean, do I even dare to mention, like, you also had the perfect mouthpiece. J.J. Dillon was incredible on the mic.
Oh, yeah. And, like, dude, back in the day, and then seeing him come back as, the commissioner, like, dude still had it. Like, I will say this. J.J. Dillon, to me, is one of the most underrated managers.
I mean, he could talk into the building. He could make you hate you. And it was just one of those things where when you think of the Horsemen and you think of that mouthpiece, he was that guy. I could not see any other person in that role except for J.J. Dillon.
Maybe Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman would have been definitely something, but I think right at that time, that would have been a close one.
Like, I mean, Paul Heyman now.
Paul Heyman now, yeah, not Paul Heyman with the cell phone back in the 80s.
Like, honestly, if you took Paul Heyman now, imagine him managing the Four Horsemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, the real world's heavyweight champion, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
Because, like, you want somebody that's not going to outshine the talent. But there was the interview with him where he said sometimes you want a manager who isn't going to, like, you may have a talent that's just missing one little piece. And that's what the manager does. If you want to hear us talk about all the great managers, both past and present, links down below. Mike's going to put that right there.
Cheap Pop, number 2. That's the thing, too. I mean, everybody had their role, and the presentation was key. And now I dare ask, because there's always a great antagonist and protagonist of rivalries. One of my favorite Four Horsemen segments is the one that everybody talks about, where they broke Dusty Rhodes' leg. They got him down.
His arm?
It was the arm, excuse me. Thank you. They broke his arm, and they caught up to him, beat him up, just tangled him, and it's one of the most awesome angles ever shot, and it worked perfectly because Dusty Rhodes was Dusty, and then you have these fucking pricks who are just going there to break his arm. It worked perfectly, man.
And it made it look personal. It made it look real.
Yep.
To the point where you think, God, did they actually do that? You think of great angles, not just in Horseman history, but wrestling history, which future episode of Uncaged, which you should be checking out all of them. Link down below.
Cheap Pop number 3 already.
But you think of the effect of that, like you look at that and just how it was sold, like Dusty, just like the greatest. You think of great feuds, you think Austin and McMahon. And to me, Horseman and Dusty, like.
In the promos, Baby Doll, the whooping I'm going to put on you is going to be shameful. And
let me tell you something, baby. We Sapphire.
I love that so much. But no, dude, like you have Dusty in his feud with Flair and finally winning the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. And then you have Dusty Rhodes and the Road Warriors going against the Horsemen, like the perfect babyface tag team to go against the Horsemen. And you also have Sting in the mix, and we'll get to Sting in a second, but you have the right baby faces in there that really gelled well with what the Horsemen and the antithesis of it was.
Oh, yeah. And you want that perfect white meat baby face against a perfect heel faction. You now with Rollins Group.
The Vision.
Is that officially what they're calling him now?
The Vision. Yep.
It's perfect. Like you got to me, I still think there's going to be one more.
I would love it to be one more. I really would. Absolutely. I think there is going to be one too. Somebody said Ilya Dragunov, and I'm like, no, no, that doesn't fit. That doesn't work at all. If they call up like a Ethan Page or Ricky Saints, that would be sweet. That would be
Ricky Saints. Absolutely. I say Page. No.
Okay.
Reason being, Page is with Chelsea Green now.
Oh, dude. First of all, if y'all have not seen NXT, friggin' Chelsea Green was friggin' hyping up Ethan Page.
Chelsea Green.
hyping up friggin' Ethan Page and then Octavian Heights. Dude, that promo was sick.
I love it. Like, but it would work. You have that perfect white meat face against the evil dark heel group, and it worked. You got Rollins, who to me is absolute fucking phenomenal, one of the absolute greatest of all time. You got Heyman, greatest of all time. You have Breaker, he's getting there. You have Reed, who to me is that Ole Anderson type, that kind of like the muscle that will literally hurt you.
Get it right, Mr. Daniel Crimmins. He is the Shula Fala, the tribal thief, just stealing man's sneakers.
What he needs to do, and hear me out.
Okay.
He's got, 2 pairs of the man's shoes now?
Yes, that was the 2 pairs.
Have them cut them up, turn them into an Ula Fala.
That would, okay, you see, now you're putting the creative juices are flowing. I like that. I think that's cool. Nice little symbolism right there, Daniel Crimmins. Nice.
Like, dude, Roman, secure your shoes, boy.
It's so awesome. Like, they're coming into their own, and I think Ricky
said, the ones fell off.
Like, I know.
To me, it kind of reminded me of, you remember King of the Ring 98? When Terry Funk got chokeslammed out of his shoes.
When Undertaker chokeslammed Terry Funk, yes.
And like, literally, you see the shoes just go.
Poof. That's a great comparison. But yeah, no, like you mentioned, Ricky Saints with his cocky attitude, he would be sweet in the group if they call him up. But I think for me, too, is like you mentioned the white meat baby faces. And I mean, Sting, and then we would have Lex Luger be a part of the 4 Horsemen. I got to say, and I'll say it for both of those gentlemen, we'll start with Sting. One of the greatest feuds ever, the 45-minute draw, the friggin' everything that they did, the Chi-Town Rumble, Flair and Sting beating him finally for the title. But what were your initial thoughts of Sting joining the 4 Horsemen and really getting to solidify even more of the Ric Flair chemistry that he had there?
Why?
I didn't get it either, because you had Sting, who was this babyface, and then they put him in. I don't even know why, even as I watched old Horseman clips, I'm like, I still don't get the process.
Yeah. And like, I mean, I will say, kicking him, the segment where he got kicked out,
it was excellent.
Was perfect.
Yeah.
But it's just like, Like, Paul Roma, you understood he is a heel.
Yes.
Sid Vicious, he was a heel, you understand.
Yes.
So others you don't get.
Do you get Luger just because of the fact, like him and Flair? I'm going to say this right now, and we've seen Luger during his WWF tenure, and we've seen him in WCW. But for me, the best Lex Luger program was him and Ric Flair, because Ric Flair made him look like $1 million.
Which Triple H once said Ric Flair could wrestle a broom and get the broom over.
He could. Like, he made Lex Luger, who was so green at the time, look like $1 million. And him being in the 4 Horsemen worked just because, and I'll say it from his size, his stature, it worked from him being like
and
that.
Look.
And the look. Sid Vicious I can understand too as well, because Sid Vicious is a bad mamma jamma. That I understood.
Yeah, just ask Arn Anderson about that.
Oh God, no! Don't talk about the stabbing incident.
Folks, just Google it.
Just Google it.
That's all I'm gonna say. Google is free.
Google's free.
YouTube, it's also there.
Yes,
but it is not on Mike's YouTube channel.
No, Cheap Pop number 4. That's
actually no, that's not a full one. We're gonna make that a half.
3.5, 3.5. But Arn Anderson has talked about the stabbing incident on his podcast. Just go to Arn Anderson's podcast and listen to Arn talk about it, because it was not pretty. So Sid Vicious definitely worked for the size and stature, and he was the great heel for that group. Sting, Lex Luger, understandable. So they have all these guys come in. And one name I do have to mention, because he was another one of Ric Flair's greatest rivals. I always enjoyed his work, and just because of the name in itself, Barry Windham.
Oh, yeah.
What did you think of Barry Windham and the Horsemen?
It worked. Like, you think of the greatest iterations of the Horsemen.
The Windham version is definitely a part of that.
Oh, yeah. Like, to me, the 3 greatest versions, obviously the OG, Arn, Tully, Flair, Ole. That's always going to be number 1. But then after that, Tully, Arn, Barry, Flair. After that, I would have to say, and honestly, it gets a lot of hate, but Flair, Mongo, Benoit, Malenko.
Oh, we'll get into those iterations, but you know what? People do hate it, but I think we'll get to the speech because it reminds me of that speech on Eric Bischoff and Greensboro.
Fire me! Fire me, Eric!
We'll get to that, but I think, like you mentioned there, Wyndham for me, just because in the name, of course, when you think of Wyndham, you think of Bray Wyatt, God rest his soul, Bo Dallas, the Wyndham family. I agree, man. And we're coming upon the 2-year anniversary of that.
We
man.
believe.
We believe. Such creative minds. And Barry Windham was just such a badass with what he did, even with Mike Rotunda. But you go from Barry Windham, Lex Luger, Sid Vicious, Sting, all these wrapped up into one that really made the Four Horsemen strong. And then Flair for the Gold happens. And then the latest member of the Four Horsemen, Pretty Paul Roma. Your thoughts on Paul Roma, who was in the WWF he teamed with? Who was it? What was it? Was it Jim Brunzell that he teamed with, or whoever the hell it was?
So, yeah.
Yeah. Paul Roma gets in there, and what are your thoughts about Paul Roma coming in and being a part of the Four Horsemen?
It didn't work. Like, again, I think he was a Luger type where it was, more like, hey, this guy looks like a horseman.
Yes.
You think Horseman had, the physique, the look. He had that. Sting had that. Luger had that. Ole didn't have that.
No.
I think by this time, Ole was pretty much retired.
Yeah, he was retired. He was working behind the scenes, and I think he was starting to get his son into professional wrestling. So, I mean, he was kind of just around and doing that stuff. But, I mean, and it was Jim Powers, by the way, the Young Stallions, him and Paul Roma. But my thing, too, is I look at someone like a Paul Roma. Everybody just remembers him on the Ric Flair Definitive Collection DVD talking about Ric Flair was jealous of me because I could get the girls. I didn't need the woo, and Rick needed the woo. And he was talking about Ric Flair wish he could be me and all that stuff. I mean, you remember those comments he were made on the Ric Flair DVD. Yeah. What were your thoughts on what Paul Roma said there?
The only good thing he ever did was Pretty Wonderful.
Yes. Pretty Wonderful. This one with the Pretty Wonderful reference. Him and Paul Orndorff. Okay.
God rest his soul. Orndorff would have been a better horseman.
And Orndorff would have killed Paul Roma, just for the record.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with you because Paul Orndorff was such a larger-than-life character, and he could play babyface. He could play heel. He was so good. But Paul Roma,
at one point, was supposed to be a WWE champion, but that didn't work for them, brother.
God rest his soul. And I mean, I'm not speaking ill will of the dead, but Hulk Hogan, like I said on Stephen Mike, and I'll say here, we're not going to gloss over the fact that Hulk Hogan politicked a lot of stuff back in the 80s, and that was one of them.
Insert Iron Sheik quote here.
Fuck the Hulk Hogan. So
hey, I wasn't going to say it, but
yeah,
he said, fuck the Hulk Hogan.
Fuck the Hulk Hogan. Make you humble. So you have Paul Roma, who, did you even like his run in the WWF? Like, he just felt like he was kind of there to me.
I mean, honestly, I think at that point, it was Vince just saying, hey, you were in WCW, or you were in NWA, I'll pay you!
I'll pay you! Or, well, if it's Vince, I'll pay you. God.
And then I'll get into a car accident.
God almighty, goodness gracious. But no, you look at Paul Roma. I mean, Triple H said it best on the Ric Flair DVD. You mean the job guy from the WWE? Because that's really what he was. I mean, him and Jim Powers were an okay tag team, but he really just was enhancement talent a lot of the time.
He was somebody, he was a Barry Horowitz of the 80s.
I can definitely see that.
And he had that tag team with Paul Orndorff.
Pretty wonderful. Yep.
Which, they got a tag title run.
They did.
They beat Kevin Sullivan and Cactus.
Kevin Sullivan and Cactus. Yeah, I believe you're correct.
God rest his soul, Kevin Sullivan.
God rest his soul. Yes, sir.
But, again, you think of people that didn't work. Orndorff didn't work. But I think they were just looking at guys that had a look, and they're like, here.
Paul Roma, you go. And the thing is, Flair and him didn't like each other, and Arn has even stated he didn't like him. None of them liked him, which was funny. Because
it was like when you're a kid and, there's that one person that you really don't like, but the moms are like, here, play together. And you're just like,
all right. Okay.
Fine.
Do you think it was also one of the cases, too, that Paul Roma didn't like the party like they did, and he just wanted to, do his own thing? You think that was
go home?
Yeah, he just wanted to go home and not go to the bar.
Absolutely. I think that had a lot to do with it. And also, if you think about it, like, it's also like, you remember being in like high school and, group projects, and there's that one person in your class, you're just like, oh God, please, not him, not him, not them, not them, not them.
And then you
And
have to
then there, and you're just like,
fuck. That reminds me of like work, even with work, and then you have to like do groups and work, and it's like, do I really have to work with this person on this fucking project? It goes with work, it goes with high school, it goes with everything. Life. You don't there's a lot of things in life where you don't want to work with certain people, and then you have to work with certain people. That was one of those times.
Life sucks.
And then you die. Now, speaking of, we go from Paul Roma, and another one, God rest his soul. Did you like having the loose cannon Brian Pillman in the Four Horsemen?
It was weird, but it worked. Like,
I respect you, Booker Man.
I will say this about Pillman. It's such a shame that he passed.
Yes.
And that he had the issues that he did. Because holy hell could he go. You think great minds of wrestling that were snuffed out too early? Him.
I mean, his matches with Jushin Thunder Liger, of course, him and Stunning Steve Austin, the Hollywood Blondes, even the Hart Foundation run in the WWF for the short run that it got. Like, he was just special. He could work. He had the character down pat, and he was that loose cannon. Yeah. He was so good at what he did.
I mean, the fact that people are still talking about that segment with him and Austin and the gun.
Pillman's got a gun.
Which, folks, they've said that pew was real. And it actually was loaded.
It was a loaded gun. Thankfully, nobody really...
They didn't know.
But yeah, thankfully, Stone Cold didn't get hurt or nobody got hurt. That was a major plus. So
if I remember it, cops did get called to the house because he discharged a weapon.
Yeah, they did get called to the house. It reminds me of when they called the WCW when friggin' the NWO was lawn darting Ray and all that. They legit thought there was a fight outside the MGM studio. And it's like, no, it's a wrestling angle. They called the cops.
I still remember that. Like, just boing!
Just yeeted poor Rey Mysterio right into the fucking production truck. And the other thing I got to add to is with Brian Pillman's side of things, besides his larger-than-life character and his persona, yes, it was weird, but it did add a nice little different element to the Horsemen. What do you think about what his son's doing now in NXT, Mr. Lexus King?
I love it. And, I give Lexus King, props for, doing this. Like, again, like Braun Breaker, making a name.
That's what you have to do.
Man. Everybody thinks that, they told Braun Breaker that, hey, you're going to be Braun. You're not going to be, Braun Steiner. They offered him the Steiner name.
And he said, no, I want to be my own thing.
So, and I give him credit. I give Lexus King credit because you're trying to forge your own path. And Lexus King is killing it in NXT.
I don't understand how Tony Khan only thought of him as the Varsity Blondes, kind of like the Hollywood Blondes, him and Griff Garrison, who Griff Garrison's not doing a damn thing anymore, except for that stupid fucking frat gimmick where it's like Andre Chase 2.0 that they're doing on Ring of Honor, and it looks like the shits. But Brian Pillman Jr., how did Tony not see what we're seeing now? Because he's being presented so much better than he was in AEW.
Well, I think, there are some people that may not work in one company, and look at Steve Austin and WCW. Bishop didn't see anything.
I mean, did you see anything? I mean, Stunning Steve Austin was a hell of a character, but did you see anything more than the mid-carder there?
That gimmick, no. But other people, yeah. I mean, Diesel and Razor Ramon, like those two gimmicks, you're only going to go so far with that. Like, it has to change. Like Hulk Hogan, he went as far as he could in WWE, WWF at the time. But then when they turned him heel, it is sometimes a change of pace is what you need.
You do. And I mean, speaking of changes of pace, you go from Brian Pillman. And again, we're mentioning a lot of different names that make up this group, good and bad, like you mentioned. Then we get on to what you mentioned earlier, Daniel Crimmins. We go from Brian Pillman to Chris Benoit and Steve McMichael. God rest Steve McMichael's soul. Chris Benoit. Benoit and McMichael. Let's talk about it. First of all, when you think of Steve Mongo McMichael, you think of Deborah, you think of football. Your thoughts on him transitioning into wrestling, being a part of the Horsemen, WCW. Your thoughts on Mongo?
Honestly, I think what for Mongo's career was good. Like, he wasn't as bad as people give him credit for. Like, I think if WCW had a performance sound like what WWE has now, I think it'd be a lot different. People also forget he appeared at a WrestleMania.
Which WrestleMania was that?
WrestleMania 11.
Oh, with LT and Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
He was there. Watch
right.
it. Folks, the only reason I say that is because I literally, to get ready for WrestleMania 40, watched every single WrestleMania.
He's out of his mind when he told me that. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? But okay. And all right, so I got to ask, do you think, because everybody, when they think of the worst WrestleManias, the two that they go with are 9 and 11. Do you agree that WrestleMania 11, watching it years later, is one of the worst?
No.
Okay. Fair enough.
The reason I say that, I think some have aged better than others.
Okay.
Some are a product of their time. It's like when you compare movies back then and you watch them now. I will say WrestleMania 1 was pretty bad.
It was historic, but yeah, I get it.
What was the one? I think it was 27.
Mm-hmm.
The one where I think it was like Cena and Miz.
Oh, where Miz got the concussion? Yeah, that was WrestleMania 27.
That one was pretty bad.
Yeah.
28 is still one of my absolute favorites.
The Rock and Cena once in a lifetime before it became twice in a lifetime. Undertaker and Triple H in the Hell in the Cell. Yep.
To me, that should have main evented.
I concur. It reminds me of friggin' WrestleMania 18. It's like, why did The Rock and Hogan not main event over Triple H and Chris Jericho?
Triple H.
Yeah, because Triple H is like, the championship match goes on last. And I'm like, no.
Not always.
Not always. Like, Rock and Hogan should have closed that.
But, like, right, to me, WrestleMania 28, to me, that final shot before, we get the title card, it should have been when you had Michaels, Triple H, and Undertaker on the ramp looking out at the crowd.
Like we got. Yep, I concur.
It should have been that and then fade to black.
I like that. No, I mean, that's the thing, too. You have some things where they put the placement of the card and you just question, you shake your head. But I like that outcome because I completely agree with you. And for me, I'll go to Mongo itself. I thought Mongo McMichael, looking back at it, was he the best wrestler? He was okay. I thought he was solid. I didn't think he was crappy like everybody.
I don't think he was ready.
I don't think he was ready at all. I don't think he was crappy as people made him out to be. But I think for what he did and his character and the pace that he did, it's still going to be legendary because you still talk about Steve
Exactly. Mongo. And he was great on commentary.
He had a knack for it. He was really good.
He had his dog.
And he had the dog. Yes, he had.
And the dog always had outfits. Like a different episode, different outfit.
What was his dog's name again?
Wasn't Pepper. That was Al Snow.
Oh, God. Oh, God. If you guys want to hear us talk about the best and worst gimmick matches, our last episode featuring Pepper in the Kennel from Hell, check it out down below. Cheap Pop. This will be 4. This
4.5.
This is 4.5. So we go from Mongo McMichael, who, again, not ready, but for what he did on the microphone and what we got later from him, I enjoyed it. I was entertained by Mongo. Benoit, who had just come from ECW, he had did his run in Japan.
Dog's name was Pepe.
Pepe, thank you. So Pepe and Mongo and Pepe, we go from Benoit, who would come from ECW. He had come from Japan doing the Pegasus Kid gimmick. Your thoughts on Benoit coming in and being a part of the Horsemen? I know it's a tough subject.
I knew we were going to have to tackle this at some point.
Yeah.
Chris Benoit, as a performer,
yes,
one of the absolute greatest of all time.
Greatest wrestler.
There's no denying that, no disputing that. As a member of the Horsemen, at first I was like,
what?
All right. Because, he had the weird trunks. Like, he had yellow trunks and had a star right on the ass.
I remember that, yes.
But like you think intensity, like a guy that bell rings and he's just at you.
I think this was around the time when he feuded with Booker T in the Best of series, and Kevin.
No, that was later. That was later.
I'm sorry.
Much later.
Was Kevin Sullivan later after that too? Yeah, that was later.
A little bit. He was already in the Horsemen. Already had a haircut at this point.
Oh God, that hair! What was with that hair, by the way? That friggin' haircut,
dude. It was mid-90s.
I know the mullets and everything was popular. I get it, but yeah.
And you mentioned Kevin Sullivan, which still one of my favorite matches. I believe it was Great American Bash 95 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
But it was Kevin Sullivan versus Chris Benoit in a Falls Count Anywhere.
Are you referring to when they didn't clear the bathroom?
Stay in the men's room, Tony.
That guy's peeing.
Yes. And then they go in the women's room. And the guy was literally taking a leak and looks back like, oh shit.
Why did they clear the bathroom?
I don't think they knew. I mean, I remember typically they'll clear the area.
Yeah.
Case in point, a couple of years ago, it was, when was this? This would have been 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it was Bray Wyatt. No, AJ was a WWE champion. I specifically remember this. And when you had, Raw versus SmackDown, anyway, I was in Wilkes-Barre, PA. You probably heard of the famous town.
Yes.
And I remember I had gone to get a beer or something from concession, and I look at the corridor across the hall, and I see Charlotte Flair, up close, and I just remember I grab my beer, I look over, and it's just like, oh, it's Charlotte Flair.
Yes.
Which I will say as an aside, she is killing it right now.
This is probably her best run.
I'm loving it. Keep this going.
They made her likable. They made her likable.
I hate that they made us like her, because honestly, before it worked. Yes. She's being humanized, which, back to the point, they kept it they had security ready saying, clear the hall. I had my beer. I was trying to go back to my seat. And I was like, hey, I'm just a couple seats rows down. They're like, no. And then, you had the queue, and you see Charlotte Patter just like, hi, Charlotte.
Hi, Charlotte.
I actually did say that, by the way.
Did you really?
Yes, I did. And I don't think this was caught on TV yet, because she went down the ramp, down the stairs, and I said to guy, they're where were you guys? She's like, yeah, Charlotte Flair. And then you see it, and it just when you go to a Raw or a SmackDown, or I would assume even a Dynamite to that matter, there are things that don't get caught on TV that if you can get to a live show, a TV taping or whatever, it's worth it.
Agreed. I've been to the Coliseum shows. I've been to MSG shows. If y'all have not been to a live experience at WWE, it's well worth it.
Or any
wrestling show, whether it's AEW, TNA, a lot of those TNA shows at the Westbury Music Fair on Long Island were actually pretty doggone good.
Oh yeah. TNA is killing it, by the way.
Oh my God.
They're talking either CW or A&E.
I have to go with CW, because then you could have NXT on Tuesday and Impact on Thursday on the CW.
Yeah.
I like that. You want to check out this channel, then you go over to that channel. Both of those guys, and people sleep on TNA, because they don't understand this NXT thing. I'm it's an invasion thing. NXT versus TNA, let's go. Come on. Now, I do have to also mention this, and I will say this because we're going to move on to the next member here. So we talked about Benoit and the tenacity and the technical prowess that he brought. We talked about Mongo McMichael. This one was short-lived, and I want to touch upon this. Jeff Jarrett, who was a member of the Four Horsemen for a few months, caught Ric Flair's attention, And this is when Jeff Jarrett was kind of like going back and forth between WWF and WCW, because remember, he left WWF, then he went to WCW, then he left WCW, went back to the WWF.
Actually, he was only, even Flair admits, it was only a brief time. Like,
what did you think of it? Well, what did you think of it? I mean, even the idea of Jeff Jarrett really, no.
But I think you're also thinking of Kurt Hennig.
Yes, that's what was going to be my next one. Kurt Hennig.
I don't just want to give you any spot. I want to give you my spot.
Did you like? I mean, Kurt Hennig, God rest his soul, from WWF, WCW, AWA, the man on the microphone, the stick, he could do it.
Crap
is crap. That was after the Horsemen, right? The Rose, Texas Rednecks. Did you like Kurt Hennig as a part of this? Because I thought he fit very well.
He did. Like, honestly, and Flair has talked about this, Arn has talked about this, Nash has mentioned it. That segment, that NWO spoof on the Horsemen, Nash has even said to this day he regrets it.
So for those who have not seen it, it's X-Pac dressed as Ric Flair. It's Kevin Nash dressed as Arn Anderson. And wasn't there one other one in the ring?
It was Buff Bagwell as Kurt Hennig, I think.
Yes, that's right. Okay. I was trying to figure out who the other one was in the ring. First of all, also speedy recovery and much love to Buff Bagwell.
Hey, he's already doing the conventions. Like Leilani Kai, posted on Facebook that he was at a convention already,
and he got his leg amputated. Which the poor guy. I mean, but God bless him. I mean, he's still doing his thing.
Absolutely. And he's staying positive. Like, kudos
to Buff. But yeah, that segment, when you first saw it air, because I was actually going to bring that up, did you think it was funny, or you thought it was?
No, I thought it was uncomfortable.
Yeah, because they went there. If you've never seen the segment, they went there. They really went there.
I mean, I know a thing or two about going there.
Oh, yes, you do, sir. If you want to check out Dan's work on the Max Wrestling podcast, we definitely know. Links will be in the description. I have to also get,
and I've watched it back a couple times, and it's just each time it's just like, and Nash has even said, they went too far, and he to this day regrets it.
Now, as a whole, I understand the faction type of warfare here. The Four Horsemen representing what the 80s symbolized into the 90s. And then you had the NWO, which was this cool thing in the 90s, really starting up, making Hulk Hogan the great heel that he became, and the whole group and the takeover at WCW. Did you enjoy the NWO Horseman feud as a whole?
Absolutely. I mean, it's still kind of weird with roles reversed. Like,
the Horsemen as the baby faces.
We're not supposed to cheer the Horsemen. We're supposed to hate them.
That's the thing. Like, even the Horsemen as baby faces was a little weird.
Which, I mean, I would even go, I think that was like the first time where they were a face faction.
Yeah, because, I mean, if you think of the legacy of WCW, you think of the Four Horsemen. And, I mean, it was weird to see them, but it was cool because you had the old school versus the new school. So it had that nice little dichotomy to it.
And, it's like we talk about the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars, because those were constant, like, pushing the envelope. This was like the first time where we were seeing it, and even still to this day it was uncomfortable because you had Arn, who couldn't wrestle anymore because he had, at the time, his neck,
and he had the back issues too. Yeah, I remember.
And Nash has even said he felt bad for going at Arn like that.
I think because of the respect factor that he had for Arn, and he knew we had to do it for the heel standpoint. But if you've not seen the promo, he does take it too far, and it's uncomfortable. And it's one of those things. It's like, dude, you didn't have to do him like that. Like, you really didn't.
Again, I know a thing or two about that.
I'm aware, yes. But that promo in itself, I do also have to ask you as well, because one other member that we're going to mention here before we get to like spinoffs, Dean Malenko. What were your thoughts on Dean in there?
At first, again, like Benoit, I was like, okay, but Dean Malenko to me is one of the most unappreciated professional wrestlers in history. Like, this is a dude who, even despite his size, he could do the technical, he could do the lucha, he could do anything.
Dude, one of my favorite matches is him and Eddie Guerrero from ECW in 1995 because that match was fantastic.
He had a couple series of matches with Ray in WCW. There was the one at Great American Bash, and then there was the infamous one for the Cruiserweight title on Nitro where Ray actually won it. Man, those dudes could go.
I also go to the Chris Jericho feud, which was even greater. Like that one.
Denko Malenko.
Yeah. Yes.
And Chris Jericho called himself the man with 1,001 holds, and he had a list. He's like, hold number 1,
arm bar. Hold number 2, arm bar.
Hold number 3, drop toe hold.
That whole segment was fantastic. Now, I mean, even his WWF run when he's like having that match with Scotty 2 Hotty was great.
Dial it back.
Yeah.
You know, you talk about uncomfortable Horseman moments. I'm talking the Fall Brawl War Games match where Hennig turned on the Horseman, and you know it came to be his time, and then just slamming the door on Flair's head.
Oh.
Like sometimes in wrestling, you have to go there. Be it promos,
yes,
or matches, you have to go there. To hammer it home, you have to go there.
And I think that was just a testament of what we got from the War Games matches. And
War
Games before insert William Regal GIF here. One other thing I will mention before we get to the spinoffs, I did mention Malenko really quickly before you dialed it back. Did you like the WWF run? Because I mentioned the Scotty feud, the Rascals. The Lita thing was a little weird with the Hardys. Did you like his WWF run as a whole?
When they brought in the Radicals initially, we had Saturn, Benoit, Guerrero,
Malenko.
Those 4 killed it.
The Radicals were cool, and then they split them up and they made Dean the light heavyweight champion, and it was kind of meh.
And the James Bond ladies man gimmick was stupid.
That
was an insult.
Oh God! I mean, did you even like the Lita thing where he's like feuding with the Hardys and he's in the room with Lita and they pour champagne on him and all that crap?
No.
I mean, the guy, yes, he was a great wrestler. His promos, I mean, he wasn't the best promo. I will say that, but
he is somebody that if you could take him, he would kill it in AEW now. Like Dean Malenko from the '90s, put him in an AEW ring now. Oh, dude, he'd crush it.
Agreed. And I mean, speaking of crushing it, this crushed it, but not in a good way. And before we get to Evolution, I just want to make an honorary mention here. So TNA in 2010 to 2000.
Oh God, Fortune.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Fortune. So
what was it? That?
Yes. Yes. So if those who are unfamiliar with Fortune, here was the group. It was Ric Flair, AJ Styles, Beer Money, James Storm and Bobby Roode, Kazarian, Douglas Williams, Matt Morgan, Rob Terry, and for a very short time in 2011, Christopher Daniels. They tried. It was not good. It was not. Your thoughts on even Fortune? Just the fact that they're bringing these young guys in. Did you like Beer Money, Styles, and Kaz, and Desmond Wolfe, and Nigel McGuinness, the whole 9?
I love all those gentlemen. You know, as individuals, they should have trimmed it down.
Yes,
just the 4. You know, Styles. You can't hate AJ Styles.
You can't, but I think this was also around the time where they tried to make him like Ric Flair Jr., and it was like, no. It was like, no. Stop making him like Ric Flair Jr.
Stop forcing it.
Stop forcing it.
I mean, this was like Dixie Carter, Hulk Hogan era.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at like Fortune in itself, then remember that they became friggin' like, who was they? And it was like friggin' They Are Coming, and it was fucking Fortune and going against like the Immortal Group and all that.
Yeah, it was Fortune turning face.
Fortune turning baby. My thing too is I thought it was cool, but the problem is they made Desmond Wolfe look like a cuck with Chelsea. Remember the girl he had with him, Chelsea, at the time? Not that Chelsea, not Chelsea Green, but a different Chelsea.
Yeah, do it right. Chelsea Green.
I mean, Kazarian and AJ Styles like had a feud of like who did Ric Flair love more, which I thought was ridiculous, weird. Beer Money, which Beer Money. Douglas Williams, I think for me it's because he went from the British Invasion with Magnus, and then they put Rob Terry in the group for a little bit too, even in Fortune. But I'm like, did you like Douglas Williams as a fit in there, or kind of?
I did. He was better than Rob Terry.
Oh God, fucking Rob Terry.
Doug Williams was somebody that, like, again, he had it.
I mean, look at Chad Gable, the Chaos Theory. A lot of wrestlers use the Chaos Theory. But yeah, that was TNA's attempt at a spinoff of the Four Horsemen.
Magnus would have been a good fit.
Magnus was in the main
event.
What
would ever happen to that Magnus guy?
Oh, he's only the GM of SmackDown, good sir. Nick Aldis.
Good old Nick Aldis.
Well, let's be honest. Magnus was also in the Main Event Mafia, which remember they tried to recreate the Main Event Mafia. Rampage Jackson, I'm looking at you, sir. Tito Ortiz, aces and eights. It still sucks to this day. It sucks so bad. So we go from Fortune, and of course, let's get into Evolution. So in 2000,
it's a mystery.
It is a mystery. So I love the Four Horsemen. Fortune, not so much. But Evolution, when they debuted it with Triple H, Ric Flair, and then Randy Orton and Batista came along, I got to ask you the obvious one first. If Mark Jindrak was in it, as he was originally supposed to be, and he didn't get kicked out because of his behavior on the road with Randy Orton, do you think Mark Jindrak would have worked?
Absolutely not.
No. And I like Mark Jindrak.
You know, it's weird because the vignettes are out there. Like, you can find them on YouTube. Like, sometimes, and you think wrestling things work out. I mean, case in point, the alternative third man for the NWO would have been Sting.
That
would not have worked.
I think it would have been cool for like a little bit, and then it would have dwindled.
Because Sting is not a good bad guy.
Do you remember when they tried to make him a heel in the Main Event Mafia, but everybody still cheered him? Like, he was the only babyface member of the Main Event Mafia. They were cheering him.
Again, some people just aren't. You have people that aren't good as faces. You have, like, Miz is somebody so much better as a heel.
They tried to make him a face in 2013. No.
Honestly, I would say Miz would have been a good member of the Horsemen.
Oh, God, with his ability to talk and what he can do now, I agree wholeheartedly.
I will still say Miz is underrated.
We've said that for years, but people... Well, I remember when... who came in? Like, with Carmelo Hayes, like, putting him with The Miz, and I'm like, it's not a bad thing. Miz is a great veteran. He can work with the young talents.
Okay, DDP.
Yes.
See what I did there?
I saw what you did there. The only other thing I do have to mention as well, even as far as like things that didn't work, like for me, Mark Jindrak was at the time teaming with Garrison Cade, and he was in that tag team. God rest his soul. I don't think he would have worked either because the immaturity factor of him and Randy Orton, and I think having the big man that Batista was. I mean, Batista, who was the Deacon, and then he turned on Reverend Devon. Then he went to Raw being managed by Ric Flair. I mean, you started with him and Rick because Ric Flair turned heel on Rob Van Dam at Unforgiven 02. Then you put H and Flair together. Randy Orton, who was coming off of injury, worked perfectly. Batista, who was also coming off injury, then they put him in later. Those four just had such great synergy, and I think if I could not see anybody else in Evolution but those four.
No, and if you think about it, like, as you even said, Jindrak pissed off Triple H.
Well, yeah, I mean, he even said it on the Ruthless Aggression documentary. It's like, you know, I'm trying to, like, teach these guys and talk about the business, and they just want to fool around. And then Triple H was like, no, we got to kick him off. He's not coming on the road with us anymore. I can't. I simply can't.
And when you piss off Triple H at that time, your career was done.
And I think with Jindrak, remember then he was the reflection of perfection on SmackDown for a little bit with Teddy Long as his manager. Oh, they tried with Jindrak, but I think with Mark Jindrak, it was just kind of whatever.
Honestly, what they should have done, they should have put him back with Sean O'Haire. God rest his soul, too.
But the problem with Sean O'Haire at the time is he was on SmackDown, and they put him with Piper for a little bit. God rest
and we're not telling you things you don't already know.
How do you fuck that up? I see what you did there. How do you fuck up a devil's advocate type of gimmick? Like, how do you fuck that up? That had such potential, and they fucked it up.
It didn't need Piper.
No, it was fine without Roddy Piper, but they put him with Piper.
But honestly, Cade and Jindrak are fucking awesome in WCW.
You mean O'Hara and Jindrak?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, I got you.
But then we got Jindrak and what was
Luther Reigns.
Wasn't it Jindrak and wasn't it O'Hare and Palumbo? Weren't they the team like that?
Okay, here's what pissed me off about that. So Mark Jindrak was a part of that like invasion team, but he was with Jindrak, and then they put him with Chuck Palumbo, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Like, they just put Palumbo with him, and I'm like, all right, sure, I guess. But you had something with Jindrak too, and Jindrak was teaming with Luther Reigns, and he was with Kurt Angle. But then they split them up, and then he was like a babyface, and it didn't work.
And then he got fired.
I mean, he made it big in Mexico, Marco Corleone. But yeah, no. I don't see him either. And I think Batista, him getting to work with Triple H really helped him along the way. His world heavyweight title runs. Randy Orton did some of his best work as the Legend Killer at the time.
Give me what I want.
Give me what I want! Later on in 2019. Orton,
you can't see me.
And Randy Orton had some of his best runs as a Legend Killer, and he developed to what he is now. Did you like Ric Flair at the time being Triple H, just that over-the-top manager, but still being the dirtiest player in the game?
Exactly. Like, to me, and say what you want about Rick, I still say when you think of greatest of all time, if Ric Flair is not on your list, I don't want to hear it. Like, when you think of what that man has meant for professional wrestling, like, he was somebody that even well into his 60s could still go.
Well, absolutely. And I think when you think of Ric Flair from his tenure, even from when he came back to WWE in 2001, the matches he had with Triple H, Randy Orton, of course, Edge, we mentioned the TLC match. Like
that one match on Raw, I forget when it was, but it was Triple H versus Ric Flair for the World Heavyweight title. I think it was in Charlotte.
In 03, yep.
And they offered it to Flair. Like, they offered him the title.
And he was like, no.
He turned it down. Which, honestly, I still wish Flair had won it one last time.
I mean, the only other title he really had, and my favorite image of that time, too, was Triple H, the world title, Orton, the Intercontinental title, and Batista and Flair, the tag titles at the end of Armageddon was such a cool shot.
And each raising the title.
The title, yeah. And I think also Flair getting the Intercontinental title to hold it at least one time, the title he really never held. That was cool. But yeah, no, when you think of
Evolution, and that just the backstage segments with, he's got the belt and, he pulls out the little blue pills and he's like,
woo!
Like he's counting. And then he opens the door, looks in, and he's like, and then just downs the bottle.
It was so funny. It was so
would not work now.
No, not at all. Not at all. I think from a stance too, when you think of Evolution, Fortune crushed in a bad way, but Evolution crushed in such a good way. Like their run from 03 to 04 into early 05 before Batista turned on Triple H, that was some of the best years of their runs.
Did Batista turn on Triple H, or did Triple H turn on Dave?
That is true. That is very true, because Triple H was talking, but Batista overheard it. So either way, it worked. I mean, that was such a cool image. And I mean, Randy Orton even getting taken out too like that. But let's be honest with ourselves. Randy Orton was kind of immature, and that didn't work. Him as the World Heavyweight Champion for a month. Like, you understand it now, but looking at the time, you're like, oh, but still, you kind of understand it now. You know what I'm saying?
They did it because they wanted to get the title off of Benoit.
Because the title reign wasn't working.
No. Like, as a wrestler, he was one of the best, but as a world champion, it had run its course long before that.
Now, mind you, I was there when he won the title at MSG at WrestleMania 20. Great moment. Now it's kind of tarnished. But if you remember, like, his world title run was the rematch at Backlash, the match with Kane at Bad Blood, which was Triple H again, and then lost it to Randy Orton. That was like the whole Benoit title run. But I think with Evolution, we still talk about it 22 years later, and it just still holds up. Fortune, not so much, but Fortune, you could see it for they tried, but it didn't work like what the Horsemen was in the 80s and 90s. And the other thing I do have to mention, as far as spinoffs, we had the four horsewomen: Charlotte Flair, Bayley, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch. Your thoughts on this, because it's one of our favorite matches. Bayley and Sasha from NXT Brooklyn take over 2015. Then at the end, they all throw up the four. Your thoughts on the four horsewomen?
I absolutely loved it. The fact that they never did anything with that,
Yeah.
to me, huge. Like, to me, when you think of perfect NXT matches, and not just women, but any NXT match, that one.
You know which one also I'd also have to put up in there, and it's also from 2015 that a lot of people don't talk about? They actually did the four-way. It was Charlotte, Becky, Bayley, and Sasha. That was one where Sasha won the title.
I remember that.
That one was actually really good, and I thought to myself, I still think about it now. It's like, why did we never get this on the main roster? Why do we never have a fatal four? I mean, we got Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha at WrestleMania 32. That was cool, but the fact that we never got the four-way on the main roster.
But honestly, to me, that was perfect. Like, just it was right on the Monet.
Oh God, I see what you did there. And her 8 belts. Fucking God damn it. It's the same shit. It's the same gimmick, but she has 8 titles. All we need is one.
As long as we don't get Tony or Excalibur shouting "It's boss time."
Oh God. Michael Cole. I love Michael Cole, but that was so annoying. It's still so annoying. It's boss time. No.
And I will say, one of the best things to come out of the pandemic was just the Michael Cole Bayley feud.
Shut up, you idiot.
And the fact that it's still a thing.
Hey, Michael. Ding dong.
Hello.
Hello. You idiot. It's so good. I love it too. Now, for me, talking about the four horsewomen from the four horsemen, who would be, obviously Charlotte with the Flair name, but who would be the Tully, who would be the Arn, and who would be the Wyndham or whomever in the group?
Okay, so if you have Charlotte at, obviously, her dad. Tully, I would say Sasha or Mercedes, whatever you want to refer to her as.
Right.
The Wyndham, the Barry Windham type, I would say Becky on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then as the enforcer, Bayley.
I like that. Okay. Out of the feuds that they've had, now we've seen them all wrestle each other. I like the Charlotte Bayley feud because it gave us the Bayley heel turn. Charlotte and Becky was just personal, and those matches that they had ever since Becky turned on Charlotte, that 2018-2019 feud. Charlotte and Sasha, those matches from 2016 and onward were really, really good. I think they all work with each other well, but if I had to pick one of my favorite feuds, it's got to be Becky and Charlotte.
Oh, yeah.
How about you? What say you?
I would agree. And honestly, I would say this. I enjoy what Becky's doing now.
Even she's going into the Becky Hogan thing, the mic drop on Nikki Bella on Raw. Good God.
It's working.
It works. And I mean, people are pissed that we're getting Becky and Nikki, but I'm like, I understand the story of like the Diva era versus their era and where she came from to give women's a chance and the women's evolution, but it works. And I mean, I don't see Nikki beating her. You got to see Becky beating her. So,
oh yeah.
And I think for me, another close second of the four horsewomen feuds, the Sasha Bayley one will always stand the test of time from NXT. But yeah, if I had to rate them, it'd be Charlotte, Becky, number 1, Bayley and Sasha, number 2. Excuse me, then Charlotte and Bayley, and then Charlotte and Sasha. What do you think?
I would say so. And like, again, like I still say my favorite women's match of all time was Becky versus Sasha. That NXT match.
Yeah, Bayley and Sasha
was just perfect.
And then you follow up with the 30-minute Iron Woman match with Bayley and Sasha, and it was worked perfectly. Those are two of the best matches in NXT history.
I would say, like, again, in women's wrestling history, like, when you think of the great in the past, like, you think of, again, Queen of the Ring, which great movie, folks. If you haven't seen it, check it. Phenomenal. But I think, this generation, those four women are going to be among the greatest.
Agreed wholeheartedly.
Every single one is going to be in the Hall of Fame.
I think with
Mercedes might take a little bit of time to get there just because, yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. I think out of all of them, like they're all so good. Mercedes is going to take some time because of the AEW run. I agree. Charlotte, Becky, and Bayley, like from where they started in 2013 with Bayley just being like this hugger, lovable character to where she blossomed in NXT. Becky with the Irish jig, and then she's finding herself as a heel, and then she just bursts out like onto the scene on WWE. Charlotte I remember her first match with Bayley and her kind of being green as hell, and then they like really lifted her up, like the match with Natalya at TakeOver where she won the NXT Women's title was awesome. I agree wholeheartedly, man. I think the 4 Horsewomen was a plus, and the Fortune reunion was a bust. And if I really were to put a bow on it, man, out of the favorite Horsemen's, I think my top 2, like we mentioned earlier, was the original, and then the one with Barry Windham.
Well, let me ask you something, Mike.
Sure.
If you had to pick any 4 people to be in a 4 Horsemen reunion right now, any company,
okay,
whether it be AEW, New Japan, WWE, any company, who do you pick? And then I'll give you my 4.
MJF, The Miz, Braun Breaker. I got to pick one more. You know what? Just for the fun of it, I go Jacob Fatu.
Ooh, I like that. So Braun and Jacob as a tag team.
Yeah, and also because they had that tension a while back, and I think when they would break off, that would be a fantastic.
And they kind of teased it at the Rumble.
Yes, so that's why I got to go Braun, Jacob, and Miz and MJF, because MJF could be like the Flair, and Miz is just could be like the Tully, or vice versa.
So I'm gonna say, let me do a reverse order. Tag team.
Yep.
I'm going FTR.
Okay, perfect.
Then second in command, I'm gonna say MJF.
I like that. Well, that's pinnacle right there. Yep.
And then first, Cody.
Ooh, okay. I like that.
I still think a Cody Rhodes heel turn would do wonders for him.
I mean, right now they are saying that like they're still going to keep him face for a while, but I think when that heel turn comes, it's going to be awesome.
Because think about it. I think you can still do that, but hear me out.
Okay.
What was it Cena told him when Cena first beat him? He said, "You hesitated." What if when the chips are down and he's facing the odds, and the next time Cody doesn't hesitate?
I like it just because I think if you can amplify his heel run in the Bullet Club, but amplify it more in WWE, I think it's perfect.
Oh, it's doable.
Oh, yeah. I think so, man. And I mean, for me, I think that is great thing. And FTR are a perfect fit for what we saw with the Brainbusters and the Andersons. And I mean, I'm going to say it right now, as far as FTR goes, I'm not feeling the Stoke thing. I mean, Stoke is funny, but I mean, like, do you like the Stoke pairing? Or
I mean, it works for what it is, but
the Tully Blanchard pairing was way better.
That would have been the ideal situation.
And if you had to pick your favorite Horseman, I'm still going the original, and Barry Windham is my tie. Who was your favorite Horseman?
Honestly, gotta go, as a iteration, gotta go the original. Mm-hmm. If you ask me my favorite member, Arn.
So my favorite member, if I had to pick, and I think you know where I'm going, just because he was so cool. The
Pretty Paul Roma.
No, fuck Paul Roma. Fuck
Hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul. Not our Paul. Fuck the Paul Roma. Dude, I gotta go Flair, just because like these shoes cost more than your house. He got the women, and he could put on a classic with anybody. I mean, the even fucking Ronnie Garvin. He had a fucking great match with Ronnie Garvin. And Ronnie Garvin's not a bad wrestler, but it's fucking Ronnie Garvin. And I mean, you got to go Flair just because he was so cool and you wanted to be like him. The women loved him.
He had a good match with Vince McMahon.
Yeah, the Royal Rumble '02, the match with Vince was fantastic. And Flair was even having confidence issues, but that match with Vince McMahon at the Royal Rumble '02 was awesome.
To me, I think when as we're kind of drawing this show to a close,
Yes, sir.
we have to talk about the last match in WCW history, Ric Flair versus Sting.
Oh boy, okay, you're gonna go there.
What that meant, and this goes beyond WCW. This to me is the NWA. This is, Jim Crockett Promotions. Everything that they had been through in, the almost 15 years at that standpoint, or at that pinpoint, whatever you want to call it, pinpoint, standpoint, whatever. It was iconic. And to have that image of them hugging it out, and Flair's even said at that point, his confidence was shattered. You saw when him wrestling in a t-shirt, like he wasn't confident about his body. Like Bischoff and others had helped destroy his confidence.
I think for me, and I'm going to mention this, and then I'll get to the promo on my end before we close out. I like how you put that in perspective here, because it does remind you of the NWA. And Ric Flair wanted to wrestle on the last Nitro against one of his greatest rivals and opponents, that being Sting. The image of them hugging and everything, you could say what you will about the match. Was the match the greatest in their series? No. But it was still a very special moment for what
symbolic.
It was symbolic. And Ric Flair at the time, I think it was a mixture of, to count on to your point, he was having confidence issues, and I think he just wanted WCW end because he hated what WCW had become.
Yeah. And if you read his book, he mentions that when he found out what WCW sold for, he regretted it because he had the money. It literally sold. Vince bought it for $1 million.
And that's the thing. I think Flair. I think if Flair would have gotten the money together, it would be very interesting to see a Ric Flair own WCW.
He'd be a 37-time world champion.
Oh my God. Yes. That's so funny to say, but it's so true. And I think the only other thing I want to mention, because you brought a great standpoint there. Excuse me. We got to mention the infamous promo. Greensboro, North Carolina. Ric Flair comes back as a part of the Horsemen. One of my favorites, Eric Bischoff. You're a liar. You're a cheat. You're a no good son of a bitch. And I hate your guts.
Fire me.
Fire me. Come on, Eric. Fire me.
There's the antics, taking off the jacket, throwing it down, elbow dropping the jacket, doing the knee drop on the jacket. If anybody else tried that,
it wouldn't work.
People would be like, the hell are
you doing?
If Cody tried doing it, it wouldn't work. If MJF tried that, it wouldn't work.
Flair, it could only work with Flair. It was such a funny. His face
mean. Woo!
Woo!
God. And then he would always add in whatever town they were in. Like, mean. Woo! By God, Biloxi Gene.
His face was so. Oh God, it's so good.
Like,
if y'all have never
how
seen
did that man not have a coronary?
I mean, if you look at his promo with Mick Foley when he's friggin' pounded on his friggin' stitches and he friggin' makes himself bleed when he's going at Mick, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's great. Or even friggin' with Shawn Michaels, Old Yeller, I'll show you, Old Yeller.
And again, I will say this:
yes,
Foley in his prime versus Ric Flair would have been great.
I agree. I mean, the 2006 feud was fine, but them in the 90s, if they could be on the same page, I think it would have worked perfectly.
And Flair's even said, like, he regrets the things he said about Mick Foley.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Hogan has even said, he's like, I didn't understand him at the time.
And he apologized to Mick later on in the years. I remember that. I remember. But I will say this. We're talking about years of just awesome factions that influenced a lot of these great factions. Some were good, some were bad. But when you think of the Four Horsemen, you think of this, you think of promos, you think of matches, you think of them breaking Dusty Rhodes' arm. You think of just pure symbolism of what great wrestling is and what great art form that factions are and the importance of everything. So I think to close it out, Dan, we'll throw them back up again. Here's to the Four Horsemen. That, ladies and gentlemen,
Because we're the four horsemen, you're not.
Thank you. With that being said, woo! This concludes another season of Uncaged. Daniel, we have finished 5th season of Uncaged. We have a lot coming for season 6. We will tell you our debut episode of season 6. We are going to look back at Bash to the Beach 2000. We're going to get Eric Bischoff's and Hogan's side. We're going to get Vince Russo's side, bro. And we're going to have a lot of fun this season coming into season 6. So stay tuned and enjoy this good audio goodness. And Dan, I cannot believe it's already been 5 seasons. We're already into season 6. It has been a great time thus far in the Uncaged ride.
It has. You know, doing this show has been an absolute fucking blast. And folks, sometimes do we go off the rails?
Yes.
But you know what? We all get it. You know, sometimes life can be kind of tough, you know, and it's, if we can make you laugh, you know,
then we're doing our job.
Any reaction, you know, love us, hate us, whatever. As long as you're enjoying our show, then job well done. And you know, this was a fun one. I can talk about the Horsemen all day.
Well, I will say this. Time flies when you're having fun, and this is going to be even more fun. So the Horsemen, throwing them up. Woo! Daniel Crimmins, where can we follow you on the social media front? The floor is yours.
You can find me on the Instagrams, not the TikToks. Mike's going to put links down below, Pundit, all that good stuff. New stuff coming. Keep an eye out.
So I will say this. If you want to follow this channel, it's S&M Network shows. Hit the subscribe button for Uncaged, the weekly review, the Pop Culture History Podcast, the LFC Podcast, On the Mic with Mike, and so many other great shows. Of course, the weekly review with Paul, Dan, and I, and as well, Deep into the Heart of Wrestling. So you can check me out at SM Show 1 or MCL92 on the Twitter front. You can check me out on Instagram, mlarkinmb or larkin_92, SteveandMikeShow.com, and LFCfights.com for all your audio and video goodness. So with that being said, for Daniel Crimmins, my name is Mike Larkin. Thank you for another great season of Uncaged. And
we'll pay you!
We'll pay you, and woo!
Fuck the Hulk Hogan.
To be the man, you got to be the man. And well, woo! That's all I'm going to say. You caught me at fuck the Hulk Hogan. Oh, you son of a bitch.